letting the sunlight and sea breeze wash away all shadows. Instead of being here, experiencing an endless winter, Tonggu Nua remained silent for a long time, long enough that on the screen, the main character was running wildly in the heavy snow, using all his strength to prove to everyone that he could do it alone. She whispered, her voice almost drowned out by the movie's soundtrack. The organization definitely won't let me leave. It wasn't a question, but a statement of despair, one that already knew the answer. How could the sharp blade cultivated at great expense by the organization let go so easily? Su Yunjiao, I will help you. His tone was as firm as iron, carrying a promise that transcended dimensions. The hacker skill experience cards, martial arts master experience cards, and even more abilities that might be unlocked in the future. By then, it should be possible to devise a thorough escape plan to help Su Nua completely shake off the organization's pursuit and control. He also knew that his arrangements and promises might just be a part of history, an unchangeable future script. No wonder in the future, Su Nua would be hunted down with a bounty of 1 billion yen by the organization. It turned out that the foreshadowing of fate had already been planted at this moment. All the struggles, schemes, and hopes might just be following a predetermined path. However, he still had to arrange things this way, to say these things, to give hope, to give promises, to provide a future worth looking forward to. Even if that future had already been written in the past script, it had become a path she was about to take, one from which there was no turning back. At the movie's end, the character returned, and the main character cried tears of joy, as the theater erupted in appreciative applause and suppressed sobs. The lights gradually brightened, pulling the audience back to reality. Tonggu Nua sat quietly, not getting up immediately. She raised her hand, quickly and discreetly brushing the corner of her eye, wiping away the almost non-existent moisture. Then, in her mind, she said to Su Yunjiao, her voice returning to calm, but with a hint of barely perceptible softness, "Teacher, let us go." She stood up, tossing the empty chip canister and cola cup into the trash. Stepping outside the theater, the cold, dry winter air hit her face, carrying the city's unique dust and chill. She tilted her face up, looking at the leaden, snow-laden sky, slowly exhaling a long breath of white vapor. Then, she softly said, her voice light, as if to herself, or confirming something, "Barefoot by the sea." She paused, the corners of her mouth subtly lifting, almost imperceptibly. It sounded good. Su Yunjiao watched the slight curve of her lips on the screen and smiled. Thankfully, this child still held a glimmer of light within. Tonggu Nua seemed to sense his emotions and lightly hummed, her tone carrying a hint of playful reproach. "What are you laughing at?" She adjusted her scarf to cover her slightly reddened ears and walked toward the subway station. 2 days later, Tonggu Nua stepped once again through the old door of the Neon Chess Academy. Unlike her previous visit as an anonymous challenger, this time she was there as a specially recommended candidate by 3 top professional players, Lin Haifeng, Wang Liqing, and Wang Mingwan. This was almost unprecedented. The special recommendation system for exceptional talents typically targeted exceptionally gifted, very young elementary school students, and it was rare for 3 top players to jointly endorse a candidate. The level of this recommendation was unparalleled. Moreover, during this time, Tonggu Nua had swept through the amateur chess scene with an unbeaten record, a terrifying achievement that had already spread through chess forums and magazines, giving rise to a legend of a mysterious genius girl. When reporters from ChessPath arrived, a considerable number of chess enthusiasts and media had gathered at the academy's entrance, creating an atmosphere reminiscent of a small press conference. As Tonggu Nua made her entrance, flashes went off intermittently, and the sound of camera shutters was like rain. She wore a deep blue suit, her long hair neatly tied back in a low ponytail, and her face was free of makeup, with sharp and cool features. She walked with focused determination, seemingly oblivious to the surrounding commotion, prying eyes, and whispers, as if she were traversing a deserted wilderness. Su Yunjiao encouraged her softly in her mind, his tone filled with warmth. "Relax. Play your role well as an obsessed chess genius, unfocused on anything else." He paused, his voice calm and composed. "As for the game itself, everything will be under the master's control. No one, including Yoshiyama Shota, can compare to me." Tonggu Nua nodded almost imperceptibly and pushed open the heavy camphor wood door to the game room, stepping into the mysterious atmosphere within. The chief examiner for this special assessment was none other than the undisputed top figure in the Neon Go community, Yoshiyama Shota, a 9-dan player. At 27, he was at the peak of his career, holding the prestigious titles of Meijin, Chess Sage, and Haninbo, making him the strongest player in the Neon chess scene over the past decade and recognized as a top-tier player internationally. He sat in the main seat of the game room, dressed in a sharp, dark gray suit, exuding an air of refined composure. According to convention, in facing a new candidate, Yoshiyama would typically give a handicap. However, after reviewing the games where he, Wang Liqing, and Lin Haifeng had lost to this girl, he remained silent for a long time and took the initiative to propose to the Academy Council, "Let us change the game with Tonggu-san to even terms." This statement surprised the council members present. An even game meant he regarded this unranked girl as an equal opponent. Hearing the commotion at the door, Yoshiyama slowly lifted his head, his gaze calm as it met Tonggu Nua's as she entered. The air seemed to still for a moment. A match of kings. The old king versus the suddenly emerging genius girl. Tonggu Nua walked to the other side of the board, sat down with her back straight as a pine tree, and placed her hands neatly on her knees. Then, she raised her eyes, calmly meeting the scrutinizing gaze of the opponent, unwavering and unflinching. The clear pupils reflected his figure. Yet there was not a ripple of emotion. "I look forward to your guidance, teacher." Her voice was cool and polite, devoid of any discernible emotion. The opponent, observing the quietly seated girl across from him, noted her long hair tied in a low ponytail, revealing a delicate but expressionless face. Her gaze was clear and calm. showing no signs of tension, excitement, or fear. He suddenly felt a moment of disorientation. An inexplicable, almost instinctive premonition arose within him. This girl before him might just become his most formidable and challenging opponent in the future. I look forward to your guidance. The opponent nodded slightly, his tone solemn. The sound of camera shutters erupted once more, frantically echoing, as the flashes illuminated the game room in a flickering light. This scene was destined to be recorded in the annals of Go history. From the very beginning, this match felt less like an examination and more like a duel of true skill. It was a test, an evaluation, a ruler assessing an unexpected challenger. And also a crucial step for the girl to prove her worth in that dark world. Su Yunzhou watched the two calm figures facing off on the screen. Their powerful presence palpable, and silently opened the Go AI software named Jue on his phone. The interface unfolded, loading the board and synchronizing the moves. A faint smile crept across his lips. What 8-time champion? What 9-time champion? What top player from the Neon Land? In the face of transcendent AI algorithms, they were all just pieces on the board. Get ready for your heart to shatter, Mr. Isayama. Just like when Kubo faced AlphaGo for the first time. The deep-rooted despair and shock, the feeling of a shattered worldview and collapsing beliefs. Chapter 118. The first encounter with the Go God. The game began. The player with black pieces, Tongu Nuwa, made the first move at the star point in the upper right corner. Isayama Shoyuta responded with a small point in the lower left corner. During the opening phase, Tongu Nuwa displayed an unexpected maturity for her age, quickly establishing an advantage. Her control of the overall situation and the depth of her local calculations left the observing professional players gasping in astonishment. Is this really a game played by a 17-year-old girl? And that move to jump to the 3-3 point, seemingly mundane, actually blocked all avenues for the white pieces. The depth of her calculations was simply a once-in-a-century talent. Wang Liqing and Lin Haifeng exchanged glances, both astonished. With a hint of complex emotions, it was a pity their teacher could not witness this moment. As the game progressed into the endgame phase, the gap on the board had quietly widened, with the black pieces leading by more than 20 points. The outcome had long lost its suspense. Isayama Shoyuta furrowed his brow, feeling somewhat lost. He stared at the board, grappling with a rare sense of confusion and helplessness. He did not know where he had gone wrong. His moves were upright. His tactics aligned with the principles of Go, his experience seasoned, and he even felt that he was in good form. Yet, without realizing it, he had fallen so far behind. This feeling did not resemble playing against another person. It felt more like gazing up at some higher-dimensional, absolutely rational existence. Like an ordinary person trying to understand the moves of a god, Jingshan Zhengtai suddenly raised his head and looked at the girl across from him, who was still sitting upright with a calm expression. Her eyes were clear, yet unfathomable, as if she were not looking at the Go board, but at something far more distant and grand. In that moment, Jingshan Zhengtai felt a thunderous shock in his heart. This was the first time in his 27 years of life that he had seen the god of Go. He slowly opened his mouth, his voice somewhat dry, but carrying the dignity of a Go player. I lost. Tongua Nuwa slightly bowed, her tone still calm. Thank you for your guidance. In the quiet Go room, silence reigned. The holder of 3 major titles, the #1 Go player in the region, was unexpectedly defeated in the middle game by a 17-year-old girl, unable to last until the end. The sound of camera shutters from the reporters erupted like a storm, the flash lighting up the girl's serene profile, making her appear like an unassailable statue carved from ice and snow. The news swept through the Go community at an explosive speed, reaching not only the local scene but also the Go circles in other regions, and even the global community. All Go media outlets headlined the same news. Stunning upset. 17-year-old girl crushes 9-dan Jingshan Zhengtai in the middle game. Officially becomes a professional player. A new queen of Go is born. The legend has begun. A seismic event in the Go world. The old king has fallen. A new god ascends. Tongua Nuwa instantly became the hottest topic in the Go community, a focal point of both controversy and praise. The media spared no words of admiration. And Go enthusiasts frantically searched for every game she played. Her name surged to the top of trending topics across various social networks at an astonishing speed, with discussions exploding. In the Go world, ultimately, the victor is revered. Regardless of background, age, gender, or origin, skill is the only and highest passport. With a decisive, undisputed victory that even carried a hint of brutal beauty, Tongua Nuwa earned herself undeniable respect, attention, and the qualification to be a candidate for the throne. In the following days, Tongua Nuwa's life entered a strange, almost split parallel state. By day, she was the newly minted professional player at the Go Academy, participating in study sessions, analyzing games, competing with various masters, and giving media interviews, surrounded by flowers, applause, and flashes. By night, she returned to the secret base of the Crescent Moon Group, changed into her training outfit, and continued her grueling training in combat, firearms, disguise, and intelligence analysis, honing her killing intent in Blood and Darkness. These two completely unrelated, even opposite realms, under Su Yunzhou's arrangement and control, surprisingly fit together seamlessly, running parallel without conflict. Like two sides of a coin, light and dark, white and black, angel and demon. In her, they coexisted perfectly. Soon, the New Year's Eve of 2016 arrived. In the morning, Tongua Nuwa was awakened by the incessant, rain-like notifications from her phone. She opened her eyes, her lashes fluttering, remnants of fatigue from training still lingering in her gaze. Picking up her phone, dozens of unread messages popped up on the screen. All from professional players at the Go Academy. Some were seniors, some peers, and even a few students she had only met once at study sessions. Tongu-san, make sure to eat well today and replenish your nutrition. Although the competition is important, your health is fundamental. Xiejiaoan, Tonggu Chudan. I heard that you are from a certain region, which must hold special meaning for you today. Wishing you a joyful New Year's Eve and improvement in your Go skills in the new year. Jiangsu, Tonggu-san, Happy New Year's Eve. In the new year, please continue to guide me. Looking forward to playing against you again. Ayama Shoyuta. Tonggu Nuwa scrolled down the messages, her fingertips gently gliding over the screen. Most of these blessings were sincere and simple, carrying the unique purity of the Go community. This group of people devoted much of their thoughts to the 19 by 19 board, and their words were straightforwardly endearing. The neon lights did not overshadow the New Year's Eve of the summer. Tonggu Nuwa knew this well. It meant that these blessings were not generic greetings, but rather heartfelt messages sent after they took the time to learn and remember that her mother came from a certain region. Even top players like Zhang Su and Ayama Shoyuta, who held high status and were busy with competitions, were willing to take a moment to do such a small thing. Tonggu Nuwa felt a sense of indescribable emotion until she reached the latest few messages. Tonggu-san, Valentine's Day is coming soon. I bought 2 tickets for Star Wars, The Force Awakens. Would you like to join me? With Gu Shinikairu. Tonggu Chudan, I am Aikaku from the promotion department. Do you have plans for New Year's Eve? I know a great kaiseki restaurant in Ginza. Aikaku Yoshitaka. Nuwa-san. I'm Mitani Tetsuo from the student group. I really like you. Ever since you defeated Ayama-sensei, I've been crazy about you. Please go out with me. Mitani Tetsuo. Tonggu Nuwa stared at the last blunt and reckless message, not even raising an eyebrow. She began to reply. Thank you. Happy New Year's Eve. Alright, you too. I appreciate your invitation, but I already have plans for New Year's Eve. I wish you a pleasant movie and dining experience. Thank you for your kind words. You are a wonderful person, but I already have someone I admire, so I cannot accept your feelings. I'm sorry. A standard social template. All messages sent. Tonggu Nuwa put down her phone, sat on the edge of the bed, and looked at her hands. Yesterday afternoon, these hands moved swiftly at the Go Institute's study session, winning a game effortlessly and earning her opponent's respect. Last night, the same hands, at the training base's shooting range. Hit 9 out of 10 shots in the bullseye under low light, with one shot hitting just outside. How divided. How absurd. Teacher, Tonggu Nuwa softly spoke in her mind. Her voice slightly hoarse. I haven't received so much pure concern in a long, long time. She paused, as if searching for the right words. When was the last time? Perhaps 3 years ago, or maybe 4. In that spacious and bright home in a certain region, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a piano, on an ordinary morning. Her mother, wearing a floral apron, peeked out from the kitchen, smiling and calling her, no, little lazy bug, get up. Mom made your favorite spicy wontons. If you don't come soon, Dad will eat them all. At that time, my father was probably sitting on the sofa in the living room watching the morning news. Hearing this, he would deliberately put on a stern face, but his voice was filled with laughter. Nonsense. I'm clearly waiting for my princess to have breakfast together. The film of memory was abruptly cut here, like film sliced by a knife. Tonggu Nuwa raised her hand and rubbed her eyes hard. There were no tears. She hadn't cried in a long time. Ever since she met her teacher, she continued softly, as if afraid of disturbing something. My life seems to be getting brighter. Chapter 119 Friends, such a distant word. Su Yunzhou smiled. No training today, he said, his tone carrying a relaxed, almost gentle quality, as if speaking to a child. Let's go to the supermarket for a big shopping spree and prepare a nice New Year's Eve dinner. Tonggu Nuwa blinked. New Year's Eve dinner? Yes, New Year's Eve dinner. Su Yunzhou paused and suddenly suggested, you could invite a few friends from the Go Academy who you get along well with to come over and eat. Tonggu Nuwa was stunned. Friends? The word sounded strange coming from Su Yunzhou, like a language from another world. Friends, she repeated, her eyes a bit vacant. Such a distant word. The Go community is relatively clean. Su Yunzhou's voice was gentle and encouraging. The reason they can reach that level in Go is largely because their minds are pure and they focus on it, not spending much energy calculating things outside the board. He paused, his voice carrying a hint of laughter. Try to reach out and see. Perhaps there will be different rewards. To help Su Nuwa step out of the darkness. Friendships with peers should be an essential part, right? Tonggu Nuwa remained silent for a long time. She remembered when Su Xingfu had once handed her a bag of pineapple cakes brought from her hometown, saying softly that she heard Tonggu's mother was also from the same place and would probably like it, the sincerity shining in her eyes. She recalled how little Zhongichi would always come over like a small animal, softly calling her sister Tonggu. Then pulling out a notebook filled with questions she wanted to ask. Are these people considered friends? Tonggu Nuwa did not know. She also wondered if she deserved to have such things. A shadow that would eventually have blood on its hands, living under a dual mask. Was she qualified to grasp these pure hands reaching out to her? The time spent at the Go Academy truly felt like a utopia in another dimension. She remembered the sincere tone in those congratulatory messages, recalled the passionate debates during the research meetings over a variation, and how afterward everyone would laugh and go for coffee together. She also remembered when she was leaving the Go Academy yesterday, Zhong Ichi hugged her waist, looked up with bright eyes, and asked, Sister Tonggu, are you spending New Year's Eve alone? Mom says you can come to my house. We have lots of fireworks. At that moment, she had only ruffled the little girl's hair and lightly declined. No need. I have plans. Maybe now she could have a different answer? Finally, she lifted her head, her gaze passing through the window, looking at the clear blue winter sky. Very lightly, almost inaudibly, she replied. Then, as if she had made a significant decision, she picked up her phone again and opened the chat group named Classmates from the Chess Institute. Her fingertips hovered above the screen, pausing slightly. Taking a deep breath, she typed the first line. Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. If you're free tonight, would you like to come to my house for dinner? I'll cook. Xiao Qi. How about asking your mom if you can come to your sister's house for the New Year's Eve dinner? There will be plenty of delicious food. Click Send. Tongu Nua put down her phone, suddenly feeling her heart race a bit. This wasn't the calm heartbeat she experienced facing a gun or a chessboard, but rather a strange, slightly flustered thrum. She took a deep breath, stood up, and walked toward the bathroom. The mirror reflected a cool, delicate face, with brows and eyes like a painting, but lacking any expression. Tongu Nua stared at the mirror for 3 seconds, then raised her hand and tugged at the corners of her mouth. A stiff, practiced smile. Uffed. Su Yunju commented mercilessly in her mind. Nua, your smile looks worse than crying. Your acting is top-notch when you're pretending to be a waitress, a white-collar worker, or a student. But when it comes to smiling genuinely, it's like your facial nerves are malfunctioning. Tongu Nua immediately retracted that dreadful smile, returning to her usual expressionless face, and calmly retorted in her mind. Disguises are necessary for tasks, with clear behavioral patterns to follow. A genuine smile has no standardized process, making it more challenging. I'm just undergoing essential social expression muscle training. No need to practice. Su Yunju's voice carried a hint of laughter. Tonight, there are no tasks. No disguises, just be yourself. If you're nervous, let it be. If you're awkward, let it be. If you want to smile, smile. If you don't, keep that pretty cold face of yours. True friends want tea like a practiced smile, but the genuine, perhaps slightly flustered, you standing in front of them. Tongu Nua pressed her lips together and fell silent. At 10 in the morning, Tongu Nua, accompanied by Su Yunju, stepped into the bustling and noisy supermarket in Chinatown. With the new year approaching, the supermarket was festooned with decorations, bright red embellishments hung between the shelves, and slogans wishing a happy new year were posted everywhere. Cheerful spring melodies played over the loudspeakers, and shoppers moved about in a lively crowd, the air filled with the scents of food, flowers, and the warm ambience unique to the holiday. Tongu Nua pushed a shopping cart, standing at the entrance, suddenly feeling a bit dazed. This overly ordinary, vibrant daily scene felt strangely foreign to her, as if she was infiltrating enemy territory. When was the last time she strolled around pushing a shopping cart like this? Was it in that home in Bazhou that she could never return to? Teacher, she asked softly in her mind, her voice carrying a trained calmness. But if one listened closely, a hint of uncertainty could be detected. What should I buy? Buy what you want to eat. Su Yunju's voice echoed in her mind. For the New Year's Eve dinner, of course, you should make the flavors you miss. Tongu Nua remained silent for 3 seconds, a habitual pause when assessing risks. Then she nodded, pushed the cart, and began weaving through the aisles. Soon, her steps halted in front of the imported food section. Her gaze swept over the dazzling array of products, finally locking onto a few familiar words. A certain brand of spicy bean paste, a type of Sichuan pepper, fermented black beans, and hot pot base. The flavors engraved in the souls of the people from this region awakened her taste buds as she began selecting various ingredients from her memories. She picked fatty pork for twice-cooked pork, tenderloin for boiled dishes, and chicken wings for cola chicken. Moving to the seafood section, she chose Hokkaido tiger prawns for spicy dry pot, and cotton tofu for mapo tofu. Shiitake and enoki mushrooms were essential for soup. The snack area was filled with colorful candies and chocolates, while the beverage fridge exuded chilled juices and fizzy drinks. The shopping cart quickly piled up into a vibrant little mountain, pushing this little mountain towards the checkout. She heard low but excited conversations from nearby as she waited in line. Is that the player from the local club? It really is her. I've seen her photo in a magazine. Wow, she looks even better in person and so young. I heard she won against a top player in the middle game. Is it true? Turning her head, she saw 2 girls in private high school uniforms, covering their mouths, their eyes wide with a mix of admiration and disbelief. It's really her. One of the short-haired girls mustered the courage to greet her. We watched your live match with that player. It was so amazing. With a soft chuckle in her mind, she thought, looks like my little fan club is here. And in uniforms, how youthful. She slightly nodded in response. Thank you. The other girl, wearing glasses, glanced at the towering shopping cart, and then at her alone, unable to help but ask, are you buying all these ingredients by yourself, MS? Are you planning to cook a big meal? She replied softly. Do you need our help? The short-haired girl enthusiastically extended her hand. Let us help you carry these outside. It's too much for one person. Instinctively, she wanted to refuse. Not easily accepting help from strangers and keeping her address and itinerary private was a basic principle. However, seeing the pure goodwill in their eyes, the refusal that was on the tip of her tongue paused for a moment. That would be nice, she finally said, her voice slightly softer than usual. The 2 girls instantly lit up with joy, eagerly helping her carry the heaviest bags, chattering all the way out of the supermarket and safely placing the items in the taxi trunk. Miss, good luck. The short-haired girl waved energetically from outside the car window, her cheeks flushed with excitement. We will always support you. The girl with glasses shouted, future chess champion, celebrity, and title holder, Happy New Year. As the taxi slowly drove away, merging into the evening hustle and bustle, she silently gazed out the window at the rapidly retreating streets, watching for a long time until a familiar yet dilapidated building suddenly came into view. The exterior walls were mottled, and the windows were dirty, standing out like a stain against the splendid lights at the edge of the core area. Keto nosegays swept calmly past without pausing. The girl curled up in the attic, shivering in the most inexpensive neighborhood, was now a matter of another time and space. Teacher, she suddenly spoke, her voice very soft. After the incident with Wugong Jin, I stopped playing. Su Yunju remained silent for 2 seconds before replying. Well, if you don't want to play, then don't. Beyond the chessboard, the world is vast. You have countless ways to live. He understood. The accolades, the blinding flashes of cameras, the genius girl. The glamorous crown of the new queen of the chess world were nothing but results obtained through cheating with AI for Su Nua. This glorified honor, elevated to the pedestal, was not a crown for her sensitive and proud soul, but a humiliation, a heavy shackle that constantly reminded her that she was unworthy. Perhaps this was why. In all the endings of the story, whether it was the history he glimpsed or the future she ultimately chose, Su Nuo would, after everything settled, turn around without hesitation, completely withdrawing from all the noise and brilliance. Back at the apartment, Hito no tied on an apron, standing in the kitchen, staring at the ingredients spread across the counter. Feeling somewhat at a loss, memories uncontrollably surged back to many years ago, in that always sun-drenched mansion in Bazhou. What was the New Year's dinner like? It was dishes served by a private chef, each beautifully plated like a work of art: twice-cooked pork, spicy boiled fish, chili chicken, mapo tofu. At that time, she only needed to sit in the bright dining room, waiting to be surrounded by delicious food. The kitchen was another world, filled with magic she couldn't understand. In the past few years of struggling to survive alone, cooking merely meant getting food cooked, adding salt or soy sauce, reaching the minimum standard to provide heat for life. Flavor? That was a luxury. But today was different. She wanted to seriously prepare a meal, to make her teacher happy, and for those peers who would soon step into this room, coming with goodwill. She opened her phone and searched for the recipe for twice-cooked pork. In the video, the cheerful food host smiled, skillfully demonstrating the technique. Hito no followed suit, slicing the meat, blanching it, and cutting it into pieces. The slices needed to be cut against the grain and thin. Su Yunju's voice echoed at the right moment. She adjusted her angle, the knife fell, and the meat slices were as even as paper. Heat the oil to about 60, and once she heard the sizzling sound, it was time to add them to the pan, one dish after another. The kitchen gradually filled with complex and assertive aromas, reminiscent of the flavors of New Year's Eve in Bazhou deep in her memory. The smoke was somewhat swirling, and the spiciness was indeed overwhelming. Hito no's eyes glistened with tears from the irritation, and she blinked, her vision slightly blurred. Just the spiciness, she told herself. But some dishes were not enough to be learned just by watching the video. For example, the dish that requires precise timing and thickening, aiming for a crispy and tender texture without any fishy taste, or the one that necessitates accurate control of oil temperature and double frying time. Pursuing chicken pieces that are crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, while searching for chicken amidst a sea of peppers. Tonggu Nua looked at the nearly artistic finished products on the screen, her brow slightly furrowed. Teacher, she said, a bit frustrated, I can't do it. Let me try? Su Yunjo smiled and agreed to take over. The next moment, after Tonggu Nua consented to Su Yunjo's takeover, her hands suddenly became incredibly nimble. While preparing the kidney slices, the knife moved like a dragon, precisely carving intricate patterns on the surface, ensuring even heating and maximum flavor absorption. When mixing the spicy pepper sauce, her fingertips measured the proportions of the peppers, ginger, and minced garlic with pinpoint accuracy. Stir-frying the spicy chicken, her wrist flicked lightly, causing the chicken pieces to rise and fall in the bubbling oil, with the timing of the second frying precise to the millisecond. Is the teacher actually a culinary genius? Tonggu Nua marveled at her own fluid movements, comparable to those of top chefs, feeling a sense of awe within. Naturally, this was Su Yunjo temporarily taking control after redeeming the 1-hour chef experience card from the system store to fulfill what he considered a special New Year's Eve feast. After all, it was the first time in many years that Su Nua had actively invited friends and attempted to embrace a normal holiday. Even if it was just a fleeting illusion, he wanted to help her weave this dream into something more complete, filled with a sense of ceremony. After a busy afternoon, when the glow of the sunset streamed through the kitchen window, the counter was already filled with a dozen dishes of enticing colors and fragrant aromas. Red peppers, green scallions, golden twice-cooked pork, and creamy fish soup adorned the table, creating a feast that brought tears to the eyes. In the evening, the doorbell rang. Outside stood 5 or 6 young chess players, both male and female, all of similar age. They held beautifully packaged sake, exquisite wagashi gift boxes, fresh fruit baskets, and one boy, slightly awkward, was holding a large bouquet of blooming sunflowers, which looked particularly warm and bright in the winter night. Tonggu-san, sorry to disturb you. Happy New Year. They all bowed together, their faces adorned with shy yet sincere smiles. Tonggu Nua was slightly taken aback, then stepped aside. Please come in. The apartment was instantly filled with lively chatter. Wow, Tonggu-san, you live in such a big apartment all by yourself? Exclaimed a round-faced girl, looking around in surprise. It's not surprising. Another boy with glasses adjusted his frames. Tonggu-san won several million yen from the likes of Wang Liqing and Lin Haifeng last year. I've heard about it. Yes, I've studied those games. They're simply remarkable. The group laughed as they walked towards the dining room, only to collectively freeze. The table was filled with an array of dishes, exuding mouth-watering aromas. Did Tonggu-san make all of these? The round-faced girl covered her mouth, her eyes widening in disbelief. They look more authentic than at a professional Chinese restaurant. The boy with glasses leaned closer to the twice-cooked pork, taking a deep breath. Just smelling this makes me feel like I could eat 3 bowls of rice. Can I take a photo? She is truly a master in the culinary world. Tong Guanua felt her ears flush with compliments and softly said, please take a seat, everyone. Initially, she was a bit reserved as a guest. But as the sake was poured and the delicious food was served, the atmosphere visibly warmed up and became lively. The young players chatted while eating, their topics ranging widely. The recently concluded celebrity tournament and the strange new strategies introduced by various seniors. Their expectations and predictions for the upcoming New King tournament and Women's Chess Championship. They even discussed the latest popular anime and the new songs from idol groups. Laughter, admiration, and debates intertwined, filling the entire space. Tong Guanua listened quietly, occasionally responding with brief answers when asked. She wasn't very good at handling such lively situations, but she didn't dislike it. In fact, she found herself somewhat addicted to it. Tongua-san, the round-faced girl sitting next to her suddenly leaned in a bit closer, slightly tipsy, and whispered mysteriously, "Do you know? Last time I heard Teacher Gao talk casually. He said Teacher Ayama privately remarked that you might be the most formidable opponent he has ever encountered in his career. The praise even surpasses that of the currently prominent 9-dan players from the Big Summer and the 9-dan from Korea." Tongua Nua was taken aback and shook her head, saying, "Teacher Ayama is overpraising me. I still have many shortcomings. Too modest," laughed the man with glasses across from her. "You are now the brightest new star in our entire chess community, the hope of everyone. We are all waiting to see you win your first title, and then go to the international stage to overturn those formidable players from the Big Summer and Korea who have always had the upper hand." "That's right. Tongua-san, go for it. We all support you. You can definitely do it." Their sincere gazes, enthusiastic encouragement, and unreserved kindness made her grip her chopsticks a little tighter. She lowered her eyes and softly said, "Thank you." After dinner, everyone moved to the spacious living room where a lively music competition played on the TV, but more often, their attention was captured by a simple board game. Academic debates, sparked by the rules, bursts of laughter from humorous mistakes, and the playful bickering over game pieces filled the air, almost lifting the roof. Tongua Nua sat quietly in a corner of the sofa, holding a soft pillow. She watched them argue passionately over wins and losses, then collapse in laughter over some absurd moment, rolling into a heap together. So this is what a normal gathering among peers looks like. There was no calculation, no wariness, only the most direct expression of emotions and the purest joy. Tongua-san, the round-faced girl suddenly leaned over, her cheeks flushed from excitement and alcohol. "Tell me secretly, do you have a boyfriend?" Tongua Nua paused, looking sheepishly at Su Yunzhou sitting across from her. "Just now during the truth or dare game. You drew the card describing your ideal type and were stunned for quite a while." The girl winked, her smile mischievous. "And several times when everyone was laughing and joking. Even though you were right in the middle of the excitement, your gaze suddenly went blank, drifting off to who knows where. Were you thinking about someone special?" Chapter 121. Valentine's Day mission. The surrounding noise seemed to quiet for a moment. Several curious gazes turned toward them. Tongua Nua remained silent for a few seconds, and quietly asked in her mind, "Teacher, do you count as one?" Su Yunzhu seemed momentarily caught off guard by the bluntness of the question. Quickly clearing his throat, "It's a bit early to discuss this now." He carefully considered his words, "You're still young. Many things. Well, in 2 years, when you truly reach adulthood and your worldview and emotional understanding become more mature and stable, perhaps we can delve deeper into such topics." Tongua Nua let out a soft hum in her mind, pouting slightly, her voice tinged with disappointment and a hint of stubbornness. "Fine, I knew it." She elongated her tone, adding with a sour note, "You really do like someone mature like Song Jiru." Images from the previous night at the neighboring room in Chioshui Mountain Villa flashed involuntarily in Su Yunzhu's mind. Indeed, mature. No, more than mature. It was like a perfectly ripe peach. But he quickly cut off this dangerous train of thought, refocusing on the gathering in front of him. That was close. If Su Nua's keen observation and budding jealousy caught even the slightest hint of this, wouldn't this little vinegar jar explode on the spot? Forget about a warm gathering. It might turn into a thriller featuring a Yandere girl online. Tongua Nua ignored Su Yunzhu and, slightly sulking, shook her head gently at everyone. "No. Oh, what a pity." A girl exaggeratedly sighed. "But with someone as beautiful as Tonggu-san, there must be many who secretly like you, right? Just tonight. I saw Igieo-kun sneak glances at you several times." "Hey, Su-sang, don't make things up." Igieo Yoshitaka, who was called out, instantly turned beet red. "I really like Tonggu-san." Su Xingfu raised her hand generously, smiling brightly. "It's just a sort of admiration. You're my idol." "Me too. Count me in. Tonggu-san is my goal. Add me to the list." Laughter erupted once again. Tongua Nua looked at them, a slight smile curving her lips. How nice, she thought. Their world is so simple and bright. The main worries there might be difficult chess games, losing an important match, vague crushes, or deciding what to eat tomorrow. There is sweat, there are tears, but no blood, no irreversible darkness, no lives and missions that must be shouldered. As midnight approached, the sound of fireworks outside became dense and fervent, and faint cheers from the crowd could be heard in the distance. Almost 0 hour. New Year countdown. Someone shouted while looking at their phone. Everyone surged toward the large balcony connected to the room. In the distance, the deep blue night sky was already bursting with splendid blooms of light. Those compatriots living in neon-lit lands were using familiar colors and patterns to express their longing for home and their wishes for the new year in the foreign sky. 10, 9, 8, 7. It was unclear who started it, but the cheerful, clear, slightly tipsy shouts quickly gathered into a harmonious wave of anticipation. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. Cheers erupted. At the same time, a grand fireworks display began. Golden waterfalls cascaded from the night sky, silver meteors streaked across the horizon, and red hearts lingered in the air. The entire world seemed to be illuminated. Tonggu Nua stood at the edge of the crowd, gazing up at the brilliance. In her pupils, the swirling colors were reflected. Those lights flickered, blossomed, and faded, much like the fleeting yet beautiful moments in life. They cannot be grasped. They cannot be retained. But at least they existed in this moment. She whispered softly, her voice carried away by the wind, almost inaudible. Teacher, happy Spring Festival. Su Yunzhao responded in her mind, his voice gentle and smiling. Happy Spring Festival, Shinoa. He paused and continued with a smile. In the new year, may you eat more without gaining weight, and may you be safe and joyful. The corners of Tonggu Nua's mouth curled slightly. The light of the fireworks illuminated the fleeting warmth in her eyes. This night held no bloodshed,